Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
I thought this is an A++++. Wow. First of all, they're not good at tight end. They are now. He leads all tight ends in yards per catch, 15. And they not only got T.J. Hawkinson, they got 2 draft picks. And those are Lions draft picks. So those could be top of a round. I thought this was, I cannot believe in division Minnesota did that well. In division to get a great tight end, and it's a position of need for Minnesota. And the other thing, it's like the Claypool move. You're getting a quarterback who needs people to elevate him.
Wow. The herd. A plus. It was a plus. I think that was 5 plus, 5 pluses.
He's on board.
For the Hawk. Judd, put that cup of coffee down. And get the
you want
flag.
me to get it? You want me to get the flag? Hold
Put it
on.
down.
You want the flag? I'll get the flag. I got the flag. And we're flying the flag for the Vikings and
Plus,
for
plus,
Declan.
plus, plus, plus.
And for Declan.
Yes,
Declan,
yes.
this is for you, baby. There you go. Lifetime commitment, just like you made to the Vikings. May your marriage go better than your fanship.
Oh, God.
We do have some Feedback Friday questions and comments about the big life news for Declan last night. So stay tuned for that. This is Purple Daily, Daily Vikings Entertainment, Daily Vikings Matrimony. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. And it's presented by our friends at TCL. No matter what you watch, TCL has award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning picture quality. And TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, home appliances, and engagement rings. TCL brings you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. Learn more at TCL.com. Also on Sunday, we're going to be hanging out at Mall of America for the Surly Purple Daily Watch Party at First Round inside Nickelodeon Universe, Judd. Let's get it.
Yes, we will be. And we will be cheersing plenty of Surly products before I die. Logic Bomb, Furious, in these fine tall boys, these fine glasses. Yes, First Round, a great sports bar, as Phil said, first floor, right inside Nickelodeon Universe, right near Legoland. And I'm going to tell you right now, big place, big space. We're going to be warm. We're going to have fun. It'll be a Surly and Purple Daily party, our Purple Daily family. Hopefully a ton of you will show up. And then post-game, we're going to do Event Line. Hopefully celebrate the Vikings going to 7-1. So join us. Mall of America, free parking, plenty of parking, first floor, First Round, a really cool sports bar. And it's going to be a great time.
All right, Feedback Friday, where we turn the show over to your questions, comments, concerns, critiques. You can always hit us up through the Score North app. There's a feedback tab. And we also have the YouTube comment section on watch on a regular basis. JT Maraski says, is it just me or did TJ Hawkinson look incredibly happy at that first press conference with the Vikings? I'd have to imagine he's feeling really good to go from 1-6 to 6-1 literally overnight. Yeah, he did. I mean, he looks like a pretty low-key dude, and he looks like he hasn't showered much this season.
No.
I'm going to throw that out there.
A guy like that wouldn't shower a lot.
Which is fine, whatever. Just catch passes.
I think he's probably showering, but he could use some conditioner in that hair. Just some conditioner.
You guys, he doesn't have time for that. He's all football all the time. He's in the playbook.
What if it's maybe a shampoo, conditioner, 2-in-1 even?
Here's my guess. He got traded. He was informed. He probably got a call from the Vikings who said, we are going to email you our playbook, shoot it to you. I bet he did nothing for the next basically 12 hours. He didn't shower, didn't shave, but studied the playbook.
Good, which is good. But imagine the feeling going from the Lions at 1-6 to the Vikings at 6-1. He's come nowhere near, really, I don't think, playoff contention in his career. I don't think they've.
Yeah, he said he was asked, and early on in the press conference he did on Wednesday, he flat out said, I'm going to get a chance to win now, something along those lines, something I really haven't previously done a lot of.
Yes.
So, yeah, of course he's pleased. And plus now, he was saying his folks come to most games, and I think they had to drive 8 hours from their Iowa town to Detroit. It's now 4 hours. So mom and dad can get there quicker.
Yeah, very nice. Nicholas B. says, you guys were talking about the lack of big plays. Do you think the trade for Hawkinson will potentially open up Justin Jefferson for deeper targets, as Hawkinson will be working the mid-range area?
I'm very curious on this because I don't know if it's going to open up a ton of deep shots for Jefferson. But that being said, I think it could help a lot. And again, I think in some ways it sounds weird because it's not the same position technically, but I think it's Thielen insurance as well. I think Hawkinson's going to do a lot of the things that Thielen is probably struggling to do a bit, not because he's bad, but because he's hurt. Thielen, I do not believe, has dropped a pass that has been thrown his way. But can he get open as much as he once did? My guess is probably no. So yes, I do think that this provides KOC and Cousins probably a few pages of playbook that they really hadn't incorporated, especially because Irv made some catches, but Irv also I don't think was nearly the factor that they hoped or thought he was going to be when they reported training camp.
Yes, so their best deep target on the team right now is Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen was a very good deep target up until a couple of years ago, and it's just injuries, age, whatever. He's just become much more, or maybe it's partially scheme too. Most of the passes Thielen catches, or really all of the passes, are 5, 10, 12, maybe 15 yards down the field. So yeah, I mean, it just gives you someone to account for. We talked about this earlier in the week. To what extent were defenses really sweating Irv Smith Jr. or Johnny Munt, right? You could we'll just put a linebacker on him, whatever. I don't know that it's as easy as, just put a linebacker on TJ Hawkinson. There's going to be times in certain games. I mean, this is a dude that went for 8 catches, 172 yards, and a couple touchdowns like a few weeks ago this season. So you might have to put a safety, make sure there's a safety up over the top there against TJ Hawkinson. Maybe a linebacker can't cover him 15 yards down the field. So if you can use Hawkinson to pull attention away from Justin Jefferson in the form of a safety or something, and if not, you just got these giant 6'5" hands that are able to catch passes and do damage on his own. So I don't know how it opens things up. We're going to see, but it definitely is another great option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it just helps unlock that Vikings offense. I know they've now gotten into the top 10 in scoring after last week's performance, but I think it just gives them so many more options at intermediate routes. And then if it makes big plays for Jefferson, great. But just having another big weapon in this Vikings offense is probably going to be huge for Kirk.
Tom Hinkle chimes in here via the Score North app, says, the Vikings offense reminds me of the Bill Walsh coached 49ers. Wow. He used the short passing game to nickel and dime the ball down the field. So this is in response to our State of the Offense episode yesterday where, the statistics show you that the Vikings are a high batting average offense, but not a high slugging percentage home run offense. And so how can they mix in some more home runs, some more deep passes, just explosive plays? If I remember those Niners offenses, though, they definitely were the best batting average offense. They could give you the 12-play drive, but they had big-time home run ability as well with Jerry Rice and John Taylor and some of these dudes. So I'm not going to go as far as comparing KOC's offense to one of the greatest offensive masterminds ever in Bill Walsh yet, but yes, there is sort of a meticulous 10, 12-play drive thing going on here with this offense.
Yeah, that's so the Walsh scheme was the West Coast scheme, which actually I think the old school football experts say that Jerry Burns was on the forefront of developing it. That's a bunch of screen passes, but the whole thing about the West Coast was you basically dinked and dunked screen passes, matriculated slowly downfield to eventually go vertical, which the Vikings haven't done a lot of. I think ideally for Kevin O'Connell, this is the McVay-Shanahan scheme, which they, have evolved and changed. But yeah, I understand the philosophy of the play. The play charts probably or drive charts probably look the same, but I think the end results of how they get there are in some ways different.
Yeah. Yep. It's like you said, go back and look at some of the, you can go on Football Reference too, some of the stats of those Niners teams. You had Roger Craig running backs catching 75, 80. Didn't Roger Craig did he catch 100 passes in a year at one point? Maybe
probably
not that
did.
many.
He might have.
They were replacing handoffs for swing passes and screen passes.
Ricky Young here. Same thing. So yeah, it's not the same.
Bryce Bortles. I don't know if there's any relation to Blake, but he says, "Hey Jags, just a couple thoughts. Since we got the tight end of the future in TJ Hawkinson and Justin Jefferson, I've been seeing these mock drafts having the Vikings trade up for a quarterback this upcoming draft. Want to hear your thoughts about that. Also, I work at FedEx delivering all around Mankato down south. Was wondering if I could apply for the official mailman of Vikings Twitter and Purple Daily. Yeah, that position's open right now. We are accepting applications. It sounds like, you're a mailman and you listen to Purple Daily, so welcome to the leadership cabinet.
I love it.
Nice
A lot
job.
of responsibility, though. Like, you've taken on a lot right there.
I have a hard time even thinking about trading up for a quarterback next year when this team is 6-1 right now and has a quarterback under contract through 2023. So I know that was a big conversation before the season started and, around last year's draft. But like right now, I think trading up for a quarterback in next year's draft based on how good they are now and probably next year would be foolish. It would be a very Green Bay Packers-like move with Jordan Love. So I don't know. I don't see that right now.
So the top group of quarterbacks in this upcoming draft are going to be gone at the very latest, top 12, top 15?
There'll probably be 3 in the top 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Vikings are going to draft at this point, if things continue to go well, maybe last in the 20s. I could see, and now next year could trigger, depending on what transpires with picks, because keep in mind, right now it's only 4 picks. They have 4 picks left in the 2023 draft. I could see taking flyers on a QB in the 3rd or 4th round. But yeah, I don't think there's any way it won't make sense for Kwesi to try and orchestrate a major trade and give up future first-round picks to go up in this draft when the reality is once Kirk's done, you might come down a bit. So, like, why would you give up a first-round pick in a couple of years when you actually might have a decent first-round pick, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would not. The more that things go on with O'Connell and Kwesi, the less opportunity I see that it's probably going to be a good idea to make a trade to go up drastically. It would cost a ton in this upcoming draft, especially when you don't have really much draft capital at all to give up in the 2023 draft because you've traded it.
Yeah. The other thing too is I know that teams say you should never draft. You should just draft best player available and whatnot. I think need comes into the equation. If you don't need a quarterback, if your team is ready to win big in 2023 and you don't need a quarterback immediately, and there's another piece out there, an edge rusher or something else, or an interior defensive lineman that could step in and just be an impactful player right away, day one, you should draft the player that can help a win now team. I mean, really, if you want to ask the Packers front office, if you could go back in time, guys, would you really have drafted Jordan Love instead of a star wide receiver? I mean, come on. That's one of the worst draft picks in NFL history. When you have Aaron Rodgers set to win back-to-back MVP awards. So you couldn't evaluate Aaron Rodgers. You thought he was cooked. You were wrong. You thought Jordan Love was a quarterback in the future. You were wrong. So I would say at this point, just keep pouring into the now as much as possible and worry about quarterback. There's going to be quarterbacks. There's going to be quarterbacks in 2024. So I say keep making this team better and then worry about the next quarterback whenever you have to cross that bridge.
Keep in mind, too, the latest mock draft from Bleacher Report had the Vikings selecting Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson at pick 29.
Yeah.
So you might still be able to get a QB if you were in that late 20 spot. But to Judd's point, with the capital that's now been released from the Hawkinson trade, I just don't think they have the resources necessarily to go up and get one of those guys if they were to go to like 29th to 8th.
We will, by the way, on Mackey and Judd Feedback Friday, we will go into that mock draft a little bit and discuss it because it is interesting that there are some mockers out there saying, this is the time. And at the end of the day, like if Kirk looks like garbage on the road in a playoff game and you reach the same conclusion that maybe the Chiefs did with Alex Smith and say, we have a good team. We feel like we've got the mastermind offensive coach and we've gone as far as we can with this quarterback, then maybe it does become a discussion. But right now, in this moment on November 4th, 2022, it's not really a realistic discussion. So Todd Anderson via the Score North app says, national media and others saying the Vikings aren't for real because they haven't beaten anyone. Tell that to the Timberwolves, who actually do look like frauds, opening against 7 cupcakes and barely scratching 500. The Vikings should never have to apologize for winning the games in front of them, period. Love the show. It's my go-to Vikings podcast year-round. This bothers me, too. It's like if you made a list of, okay, here's 32 teams, circle the teams that would be an impressive victory that shows you beat someone. What is there, like 3 teams on that list?
That's the problem. I would go along with the narrative from the national media if the league was full of good teams and the Vikings lucked their way into like 7 games against awful teams. Right?
Now they're going to play 2 of the 3. If we think the Eagles, Bills, and Chiefs are the 3, they're going to play 2 of them at least.
Yep.
So,
but I mean, if you accumulate a good record against teams that are either about as good as you or just worse, and that's what the league is full of. That's where the luck of the season and you create your own luck begins to fall in. Because the Vikings are doing a very good job of capitalizing against a league or a conference that is definitely down. Good for them.
Yeah. But there's also people over-exaggerate this. It's like, well, the NFL's garbage this year. No, the NFL isn't garbage. The NFL just has a lot of teams that are relatively equal, which is, by the way, that's the way that they've set the league up. Right. That every team, regardless of whether your market size is Green Bay, Wisconsin, or New York City,
right,
or New Jersey, I guess, but you've got the same amount of money to spend, the same parameters, the same national revenue being split around. So, I mean, the NFL is a socialist sports league. Mm-hmm. If you're a bad team, you get the first pick. You get the best talent in the draft coming into you get a shot at the best quarterback. So the NFL has designed. People always get shocked by this. That there's no good teams. No, there's only a couple teams that pull away from the pack, but the pack has teams that are just beating each other up. There's like 15 teams that are beating each other up.
The league always has an antidote to the fact that they provide you, because they call it parity. I call it a lot of crappy teams.
It's not a lot of crappy teams.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of crappy teams.
How?
Let's call it spade a spade. It's a lot of crappy teams.
How is it a lot of crappy teams? It's the best football players in the world.
Right, but
so how is it crappy teams? It's the best we've seen quarterback play ever in the last 5 years.
Actually, I think QB play in 2022 has gone down. But anyway,
that's because we're transitioning away from Brady, and eventually it'll go back up.
But this league, again, the genius of this league, as I've said for 5 years now, is red zone. Because if you are a general fan, you get the best of the best. If you sit down and watch individual games, the assessment, aside from a very few teams, is, you know what, this isn't a great product. But it's a fun product to watch at its best, and red zone gives you that.
But here's where I think you're wrong. You think that there's a lot of crappy teams because there's a lot of like teams that are hovering around 500 and there's a lack of separation. So if instead of there being 3 teams that were beating everyone by 15 points, 20 points every week, if you had a few other teams that were blowing out bad teams, would you say that the league has better teams? If there was a few more,
I think it's
what you're seeing is you're seeing just a flat group of teams. What you're telling me is that if there was 3 or 4 other teams that were blowing out other teams, that the league is better that way.
No, I'm telling you, I watch the product, and the product a lot of times is not good. Flat out eye test. The first half of the Cardinals-Vikings game was damn near unwatchable. The second half was fun. It got fun. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of mediocre football being played.
Okay.
I think it's more of a quarterback problem than it is a team problem. And now is that does that translate when you have a quarterback problem? Are the games not as watchable if the quarterbacks aren't as good? But I don't know if it's that the teams are just bad. I think there's more of a QB problem than it is a team problem.
This year, offense is a little bit down through the first 6 to 8 weeks, and quarterback plays a little bit down. But last year, you had 8 different quarterbacks with a passer rating over 100. And then after that part of the list, you had Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr had a compelling season in which he threw for almost 5,000 yards. Josh Allen had a fairly low passer rating in 2000. He had a 91 passer. So 10 quarterbacks that were playing at a 100 passer rating level. Yeah. And then multiple Pro Bowlers and future Hall of Famers that were below that. So half the league was lighting it up last year, more than we've ever seen. So I guess I just kind of, this year it's down a little bit, but I mean, if we had more teams blowing other teams out, then maybe we'd say there's more high-octane offenses.
I wouldn't say that. I sit down and watch individual games and say, that's a lot of bad football.
Well, no, you watch Red Zone.
But I'm saying the Vikings. I have to watch the Vikings, and I see a lot of bad football.
Let's get to Lost Viking on Twitter here. Congratulations, Declan. You completely outkicked your coverage.
Nice.
Aaron Messenger via Twitter. Congratulations, Declan. Does anyone have this as a write that down prediction? Yes, and we will get to that on Wednesday next week.
Interesting.
I forget what was
Brother Liam?
Brother Liam claimed that it was, but it is not Brother Liam. I don't know what he was. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but it was. There was.
That's
a
right. He
listener
did
that
have
made a
one.
prediction.
He had one way back when that was you.
Yeah.
You would be.
It was a
in
Facebook official relationship.
Yeah,
and that
Facebook
already
had
came
it.
off the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Brother Liam, hit me up if I don't think you had a prediction on this, but let me know.
Okay.
Kevin Sowers via Twitter says, "Congrats, Judd. Better buy you an expensive wedding present."
Oh, define
Judd, what are you
expensive.
buying me?
I'll buy you one. I'm not going to get you something she wants though. So like,
Okay.
if you want something, I'll get it for you.
Why would you not get something that Declan's now future wife
Because
wants?
she's going to get pampered with gifts. This is how it always works. Weddings aren't fair.
People
the guy
forget about
always
about the groom.
the
Is
guy
that-
the
okay.
groom always gets the short end of the stick. He always
You know-
gets left out.
It's funny because I feel like I have a lot of the stuff kind of like planned. Like I have the DJ planned. I know like the time I want to do it, all this stuff.
Oh,
and she
wow.
like hasn't had that. She hasn't thought that far
She
ahead.
hasn't started.
She hasn't started. And by the way, I will just tell you this right now. I will not get married during football season. So that is not
You
happening.
shouldn't. You shouldn't
I
get
will- I
married
will-
during football season.
I agree
a
with this.
summer wedding could be
A
could be
summer
great.
wedding
July.
is yes, July or
July.
August maybe. We'll see what happens.
Make sure that the place that you pick, strong air conditioning too. And I'm not
Okay.
joking. Like
Yeah,
make
I
it.
want to sweat.
No, I know, but sometimes the bride will think, "Oh, this is a beautiful old hall. We can celebrate, how many great weddings," and the air conditioning will break. Don't let that happen. Make sure you got good air and make it right before training camp because nothing except baseball is going on.
Are you writing this
I'll-
stuff down, Declan? Are you-
Yes, I am. I guess
My
I'll-
knee-
I'm
my knee-
I'm
Why don't
planning
you
this
just
entire wedding around
give your
Judd.
fiance Judd's contact info, and they can just kind of be in communication planning for.
I'll
the
text her
wedding. Does that
dates.
work?
I'll text her dates because you're right. July is perfect.
Just try my best.
Yeah, I love
What
it.
was your house on a scale of 1 to 10?
sorry, it's about
10
that.
being perfectly, 1 being train wreck. How did it all go last night? Did it go
went
as
well.
smoothly as you wanted it to?
So Phil texted me on Wednesday and was like, all right, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Kirk in primetime, 1 being basically Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Where is Declan falling in the nerve scale? And like I told him a 5. Like I'm not that nervous. Even I woke up yesterday like, all right, this is happening, but okay. But then as like she was getting ready and I was like, cause I take 10 minutes to get ready. I'm like waiting and I'm sitting in the living room waiting for her to like finish getting ready. And I was like, oh crap, this is happening. And then like I was like, crap, like
The
this,
play clock
this
is
happening.
ticking. The play
Yeah,
clock is
seriously.
ticking down, and you're like,
I am.
What's the play?
I am. God, what is the play?
Clenched teeth.
And of course, she's running late, and the smell that was on was we're going on a double date. She thought we were going on a double date, so that's what she thought we were doing. And then as we get out of the apartment, and I took a right, and there's these like kind of courtyard pathway that's like secluded from the main street before we got to the restaurant we were going to. And then I just kind of got down on a knee. I don't really remember what I said. I'll be honest. I kind of like blacked out a little bit from that part.
But she
got
kind of,
down-
you could have said anything. You're on a knee holding a ring out,
Well,
right?
she did say, and she wasn't like being cute or anything. She was like, "What are you doing?" Like she said it in that tone too. Like at first, like, "What are you doing?"
Oh no!
And I was like, "Oh God."
And you were
then-
so you were on a knee with the ring out, and she said,
Yeah.
"What are you doing?"
Yeah, what are you doing? And I was like,
Hey guy,
"Come on." I was like, "Really?"
What are you
and
doing,
then,
guy?
And
were
then
there
she's like,
other
"Okay."
people around?
No. There was actually one guy parking his car, and as he got out and we were embracing, he yelled, "Congratulations!" But no, like outside of him, no one saw it. But then she before she put on the ring, she's like, "Oh my God, stand up!" And I was like, "I think you need to put the ring on first. So I don't think I can get up until the ring's on your finger." So then she got up, and then she was floored. She had no idea, zero idea. So
Wow.
I did well there. Did well there.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? That was it was hilarious.
I'd like to examine.
Well, it's got to
this.
be a little if she hasn't sort of figured out what was happening. It's got to be a little startling that you guys
Yeah.
are walking to
Yeah.
go on a double date and
Yep.
you stop and you're just like on the ground. I mean, there'd
Yeah.
be a moment of what's happening. Let's
What are you
go. Come on,
doing?
we gotta get to
We
the
gotta go.
restaurant.
Yeah, but the
Gotta
one
go.
knee thing to me would be like if you had collapsed, I'd be like, oh my God, Declan had a heart attack. What are you doing?
Curled up in
Call
the fetal position.
Call 911. But I mean, the one knee thing. Well, congratulations.
But yes, it went really well. It went really well. But yeah, the nerves really kicked in the last 10 minutes built up to the actual. I was like, oh crap, this is actually happening.
But then wasn't there kind of a second surprise? I mean, so you guys were going to Red Rabbit last night.
Yep.
At what point did she realize that there was a bunch of friends and family inside the
So
restaurant?
so she then asked, like, so we're obviously not going on a double date, right? And I was like, no. Then like family is there, and then
yeah, we're gonna be late. We gotta go. Come on.
Yeah,
I was prepared for a double date.
date.
I mean, if this is what we're going to do, I guess this is what
that
we're going to
Acme
do.
comedy show starts in an hour and a half. We gotta get moving.
Did you have to buy tickets to the Acme comedy show?
She Venmo'd our friend who bought the tickets, and then she Venmo'd back the money just to again get her off the scent, dude. It was great. It was great. Great play design. But one of her best friends flew in from Nashville, so she didn't know she was there. So I said, yeah, family is there, but I didn't tell her that the best friend was there. So then she surprised her and jumped out, and it was great. It was a great time, man.
Amazing. Get the flag. Get the flag.
Great planning, guys.
Yes.
I'm proud of you, Sports Son. There you go. There you go.
We'll have
TJ Hawkinson.
There's a few other questions that we will have on Mackey and Judd Feedback Friday as we continue to unpack this big life moment for our guy Declan. But, you know, that marriage proposal story is presented by our friends at Federated, okay? Declan and his fiance are going to be guiding hands for each other through life. And that's what Federated provides for your business, a guiding hand to help you navigate the choppy waters sometimes of business and sometimes the smooth waters. You never know. But it's a long-term relationship between you and your insurance company if you're a business owner. And Federated has mastered this over the last 100-plus years. They've been helping countless business owners with risk management. They've got all kinds of tools and resources at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Also, we were talking about TJ Hawkinson earlier, not shown on this graphic here, but we have a merch shop open, including State of Hawk hoodies with a glowing mane. So scorenorth.com/shop if you want your Before I Die swag. If you want your Victory Monday swag, Purple Daily, Score North. Appreciate everyone who has supported us in the past few days. ScoreNorth.com/shop. The merch store for Purple Daily is open. Let's get back to the feedback here from Paul Iniguez. Hello. I believe that this is our meteorologist friend here, if I remember right. I believe that as we head toward the end of the fall and into winter with several important road games on the schedule, the impact of weather cannot be ignored or left to chance. Your own actions have been influenced by the weather as well, with this weekend's watch party being moved to a controlled indoors environment. That is correct. With over 20 years of professional experience, meteorological experience, I would like to submit my name as chief meteorologist of Purple Daily and Vikings Twitter. Paul?
No
You're
brainer.
in. You're in. This weekend, the Vikings will luck out with their game in D.C. Temperatures will be very mild for November, low 70s. It'll be very humid, which may physically tax the Purple more than we expected. A bit of a southerly breeze should help out, though. Probably not enough to wreak havoc with the kicking game. In Minnesota, the call to head indoors with the watch party was likely ideal, as sitting in 40-degree weather for 3 hours doesn't sound like fun unless you're hunting or fishing. Peeking ahead to Buffalo, very early weather forecast, but the weather may be pretty similar to what Minneapolis experiences this weekend. Cool in the 40s with a northwest wind and potentially some showers. So there's your official forecast across 3 different markets.
Could be a wet
from
ball.
Our guy, Paul. Yes.
The ball could be wet. We could be. Ooh, boy, that could be interesting.
Be careful.
Buffalo. Yeah. Create some opportunities.
Joe Lopez says, what's up, guys? I'm a lifelong Vikings fan in Arizona, and this year I will be losing my Vikings home game virginity when the Vikings host the Cowboys in November. I've attended majority of past Vikings games in Arizona, including the infamous 2003 game, which knocked the Vikings out of the playoffs. I've never seen the Vikings win live, and I'm hoping for a turn of fortune this time around. As a fan and tourist in Minneapolis, is there anything you guys recommend I do in the city and to prepare me for game day in later November? Thanks in advance.
Well, he's got to go to Surly Brewing Company. Yeah, go check out
100%.
Surly.
Go to
right?
Surly.
That's one on there. I guess in terms of food, like other food locations, I think the North Loop, obviously where I reside down there, but I mean, great restaurants. You got Red Rabbit, where I just was. Declan here for Smack Shack. There's plenty of great options down in the North Loop area.
My favorite area of Minneapolis is an area called St. Anthony, Maine. It's the oldest part of Minneapolis. It's where the first ever bar, Prakna, was opened in like the 1850s or something. So, Brick Street. At this time of year too, it's a little creepy in kind of a charming way. But you get the skyline across the river, and there's like 3 or 4 restaurants down there, and even up the street, up like Hennepin. So, I'd go to St. Anthony, Maine for a little sightseeing and some food and drink.
If you like steak, Murray's.
Yeah.
If you want
Manny's
expensive
is good
steak,
too,
it's very
but
good.
but if you like old school, 1950s, 60 vibe dining room, silver butter knife steak, Murray's is great. And
Go knock on Judd's
it's
door,
expensive.
and you can watch him
It's
just kind of
expensive.
crawl away.
Although Smack Shack ain't cheap. Smack Shack will set you back a bit too.
Totally worth it though.
Yeah,
Totally
it's,
worth
it's
it.
very
Peel and
good.
eat shrimp, man.
I've never
very
felt
good.
regret walking out of Smack Shack
Oh,
in
God,
my
I
life.
love Smack Shack.
Gretchen Revering, in response to earlier this week, we got into a discussion about how women love Kevin O'Connell, or we
Oh, yes.
can't remember how that came up.
Declan's
I have a
Oh,
feedback on it,
okay.
too, by
Your
the way.
fiance loves
fiance.
Kevin
She
I
would
got
dump him.
I got a note last night that I'm kind of glad Kevin O'Connell. You must be glad Kevin O'Connell wasn't at the restaurant last night because you would have said no.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
Kevin's married with like 3 kids. I think he's.
Nah.
I think you're fine.
Well, Gretchen Revering says, yes, in all caps, we women love Kevin O'Connell. Heart eyes emoji. And then Sandy says, yes, it wouldn't surprise me or any other women that KOC is the sexiest coach in the NFL. KOC smiles a lot, and we just know he smells great. His sexiness just radiates everywhere.
Wow.
This is a thing among women Vikings fans.
Okay.
Read the music.
I'm gonna just say this real quick. I think Kingsbury has to be atop the list. Like
I don't know.
His
Yeah, he's a
personality
good-looking
seems
guy.
a little off-putting, man. Seems like
but
he's
he's
got a
Personality's
quick,
big.
quick anger
he
trigger.
looks like Ryan Gosling, though, man. I
Doesn't
mean, that's
matter.
a good-
Women
He's
women
not
rate
Ryan
personality over looks, and I
Yeah.
think Kevin O'Connell has both higher scores, or for sure, like the combined.
Who's top
score.
5? O'Connell's definitely top 5. Who's top 5? Kingsbury's in the
Let me
top
pull up a
5
list
for
of
sure.
coaches here. Hold on.
Probably
There are some
Kingsbury.
great jaw lines now. Good jaw lines, not Bill Cowher weird jaw lines. There's some good jaw lines.
Glad we're doing
Sean
this right
McVay,
now.
probably Sean
Sean
McVay.
McVay.
Yep,
He's
I've
probably
always
up
said
there.
Sean McVay.
My sister loves him.
Now he's more of a boyish charm guy, which O'Connell is. I think O'Connell is better looking than McVay.
What about Dan
LaFleur?
Campbell?
Oh God. Well, yeah. I mean,
LaFleur?
some people would
LaFleur?
like Dan
You know,
Campbell.
I'm going to throw this one out there.
LaFleur's sort of. I don't know. He looks like a rat, sort of to me.
With the big gray beard, I'm going to go Lovie Smith.
Lovey?
I'm going to go Lovie
Okay,
Smith.
I'm going
He's-
young, hip. Yes, you're right, but I'm going young, hip.
Mike Tomlin's got to be on here.
Tomlin, and yeah, I was going to say Mike Tomlin.
What about
Sirianni?
Pete Carroll? Pete Carroll.
My wife
Pete?
loves Pete Carroll.
See?
Dawn has a crush on Pete Carroll.
Hilarious.
Some women love
She's like,
Ron
he's such-
Rivera too. Ron Rivera is.
Yeah, he's a football player type.
He also just seems very fatherly. Like he could, he would be kind of the organizer of the like family gathering.
You know what's funny? O'Connell looks like because he is, boyish charm, blah blah blah. He looks like he should have been a good quarterback. I can see how the Patriots got fooled.
Agreed.
Like he looks like he would have been, and he's not. He wasn't, but he looks like he should have been a good quarterback.
What about Robert Saleh?
Yeah.
Some.
see that.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one.
Guy's pretty jacked, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's jacked, and yes, he's another football looking guy.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Okay. Football. All right. Emerson Price says, spend a few minutes discussing our special teams play, if you could. Seriously, Kane is averaging at the top of the league in kick returns. We're stopping long returns by tackling well, and Wright is a stellar punter. There was a punt a few games ago where he booted it 73 yards. He hasn't had a touchback all season. We are winning at special teams. Can you find a part of our special teams play that you don't like? Well,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Definitely yes.
Yes, it's overshadowing everything.
Only
in my opinion.
the biggest thing, but the rest of special teams seem to be very reliable. Yeah, they have a good tackling unit on special teams. Their punter is reliable. So yeah.
They're well coached. They're well coached. Did you see the controversy that transpired at TCO Wednesday, I believe.
I don't think it was controversy though. They brought in a left-footed punter.
Yeah, because Washington has one.
Yeah.
But people were like, "What's wrong with Ryan Wright? He's done great. Are you going to cut him for?" And it's like, no. In fact, I don't know if Zim did this. Childress used to do that, to do exactly that. They would bring in on weeks that they were going to face guys that punted with their left foot. They would bring in guys to punt to the returners.
Yeah.
Which is
it's smart, and you can't. So are you not allowed just to bring in a random person? Does it have to be an official workout, or
I don't know. I think
You get paid for that, right? Like the player
I
they're
would think
bringing in,
so.
you get like some type of stipend.
you get a stipend. Yeah, and
what do you get? $500 for that, and they pay for your travel or something?
Yeah, and I think the ordinary protocol, if you're actually going to work out, guys, is you bring them in on Tuesday because that's the off day for the players. But that is done a lot of times to get a book on guys. So like if Ryan Wright gets hurt, they've got this guy on speed dial, and they know if they like him or not. So I just thought it was funny because it got reported, and Twitter, of course, being Twitter, blew up with, "Oh my God, what's happening?"
Yeah. And then Matthew Sperling says, big shout out to Judd this week for not giving free advertising time to random hotels across the street from a live vent line. I know it had to take some real self-control for Sports Dad to not worry about his out-of-state sports kids and which hotel they're going to stay at.
There's a ton.
Great
of
job,
hotels.
Judd.
There were a ton of, but that's the thing is,
Judd here for Radisson Blue inside Mall of America.
Well, you got that one.
It's a great hotel.
The one that
It is awesome.
because I think they built the major Marriott edition for the Super Bowl, right? That's a big one now.
Bonvoy or what?
That's attached. That's attached. Across the street, a ton of good deals. But that's the thing is the mall has hotels. Surly, you wouldn't think does, and yet there was the one right across the street from it.
Surly should build a hotel in that. Like, you know how casinos will just build hotels?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they should do. You could just be at Surly all day, eat pizza for lunch,
parking lot.
drink beer in the afternoon, and then
parking lot.
get some poutine, and then just go roll into your hotel.
Oh,
It'd be great.
Here's what I still don't get.
yeah.
To this day, I still don't get, and I've suggested it, and it just falls flat. Why don't breweries and like the Twins do specialty nights with car services, Uber, Lyft, right? So like have a drink special, and then tie in so nobody has to drive.
Well, you can just. But how would the tie-in work? You could just.
But like if you could,
you could just get an Uber.
right? But what if you promoted a deal where if you were at the event or going to the event and had proof of some sort, it got you a discount?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Like there's
Right,
nothing.
maybe
you'd enter-
Uber is saying,
you'd enter
like,
a promo code or something.
Yeah,
like-
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
like
Uber is
twins.
saying
Drunk.
we don't need the Twins to help us grow our gigantic, like generationally.
They probably
large
are. What
business.
I'm saying is, if I'm the Twins, I contact them and say, "Why don't you become the official provider of our drunk fans?"
Here's the issue though with that as
think
a
it's a good
former as a former Lyft driver, but from the passenger side, if there's a surge in request area for pickup, your prices go up. The prices, your ride's going to go up. So what I always
They
do
don't
for
want to
this,
suppress those prices because that's how
Yes.
they make more money. Yeah.
you always walk away from the like go 5 blocks from the
Yep.
venue, and then request your Lyft.
Yeah,
Then request it.
100%. If
Pro
you're at
move.
a Wolves game or a concert or something, go walk 5 blocks down, get a drink while you wait too, and 20 minutes pass by, and now you're good to go.
I'm trying to craft an idea here. Okay, I'm not saying it was perfection. What I'm saying
Judd here
is,
for Uber.
let's embrace those who are drunk
yes. Which
and make sure they don't drive.
Okay.
I feel like there's a stigma. I'm messed up. How do I get home? Hey, here's a deal that we have with XYZ.
or
That's all I'm
just
saying.
get an Uber.
Yeah, just gonna be doing
And I'm trying to
PSAs on the
know-
radio for.
But as Declan just said, promo
Ride
code
shares.
drunk.
I love Judd. Your idea is like,
Promo
okay,
code
there's drunk fans
overserved.
at sporting events. What if they like had a car service? Like, yes, that exists. It's called Lyft.
Promo code overserved.
That's hilarious.
Too many.
Well, congratulations to Judd, who has stumbled into a great business idea, and to Declan, who has stumbled into a lifelong relationship. And we're looking forward to the Surly Purple Daily Watch Party on
Just
Sunday.
wait. You just wait, dude. I'm going to tell you right now that is the toughest adjustment. Because I didn't wear a ring ever
Oh,
until that. It took me a month for
And
it not to be weird. Like now, it's it's not a problem. But like the first month or so, I would always be like, What's this thing on my finger? Oh yeah, I'm married.
I also hate things on my, I've never been a watch person. I hate things on my wrist, and even like after a wristband, whether you're at a concert or wherever, I hate things on my wrist. Yeah. So yes, I'm sure the ring is going to be a little bit of an adjustment there.
We'll talk you through it. We'll support you through it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Mackie Judd has the ring bears on the wedding.
Yes, happily. All right, that's a wrap on this episode of Daily Vikings Entertainment. It is Purple Daily, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We'll pick the game tomorrow. See ya.